Hey guys, we're back today. I'm so excited to be back with you. As you know, earlier this week, Miss Carlson and some other teachers have talked to you about comparing and contrasting. We have talked about this before in class, but as you know, this week we're talking about their experiences. So we're talking about characters and how their experiences might be different. That's things that they think and they feel inside and things that they say and do. So we're going to be talking about how these two characters, Alice and Greta, in our story today are different in their experiences. So the things that they feel, say, and do. So when we compare, we're talking about things that are the same. So we use the word both. Say that with me. Compare both. Now, when we talk about contrasting, we talk about how things are different. And we say the word but. So let's say that. But. Both. But. Compare. Contrast. Both. But. So we can say things like Alice and Greta both blank. Or Alice blank but Greta blank. Now, fun fact about these characters, they are witches. So, Alice and Greta is the name of our story by Stephen J. Simmons, and this is a super fun book. They are witches. So I want you to just look at the cover. You can see this is one of our witches, Alice, and here's another one of our witches, Greta. Just by looking at the front covers, you can already tell they're probably going to be pretty different. So let's take a look at this book. Alice and Greta, A Tale of Two Witches. Once a long time ago, two witches lived on top of a mountain. Although they both looked out at the same view, they saw things differently. Welcome. Keep away. Alice's outlook, like her clothes, were always rosy. Greta, on the other hand, was always on the lookout for trouble. She dressed in poison green, a color she liked to think was as putrid as her personality. Oh, how different Alice and Greta were. So we already see their outside, the way they look is different. So she's always very rosy and welcoming, and she's always in green, the putrid green, and she is looking for trouble. Alice and Greta had known each other ever since they were little witches at Miss Mildred Mildew's School of Magic. There they had learned the same spells, the same curses. Thanks for the warts, Alice. Gretchen! So she gave the warts to the frog, but Gretchen gave them to the teacher. The same chants. Gnat sneeze, dragon's fleece, donkey breath, and spider sneeze. And the same bruise. See, she's upside down on her head. Here she's making a giant bubbly potion, and she's making the joy of conjuring. They just used their magic differently. So they're having the same experience as going to the school together, but what they're doing there is very different. Whereas Alice's spells were simply enchanting, Greta's were deviously diabolical. Look at the difference in the frogs. She's making a really pretty one that's turned into a sweet little prince. And this one is just a mean giant toad. The boomerang principle. Whatever you chant, whatever you brew, sooner or later comes back to you. Greta never did her homework and often didn't listen in class. She was misbehaving as usual the day the class learned the most important lesson of all. She was misbehaving. See her here? While they're learning the boomerang principle, she's over here turning this girl's hair into snakes. Time passed, and before long, it was graduation day. Alice and Greta flew off into the world to weave their spells and work their witchery. One day, Alice was flying high above the seashore when she spotted a sailboat stranded on a sandbar. She waved her wand in circles high above her head and whispered, "Come now, moon, and turn the tide. Take this family for a ride." So she's helping people. They're stuck here on the shore with their boat, and she's helping them get back up to sea. A huge wave rushed toward the boat and lifted it safely off the sandbar, and the family waved thanks. "Thanks, Alice." On the other side of the world, Greta was using the same spell, just a little differently. She saw some children building a sandcastle on a beach. They had worked for hours on the towers, tunnels, and moat. Just as they finished, Greta waved her wand in circles high above her head and whispered, "Come now, moon, and turn the tide. Take this castle for a ride." How do you think that's going to make them feel if they work so hard on getting it built? She's not really doing that to be nice. An enormous wave crashed high on the beach, sweeping the castle into the sea. Greta cackled. Then she disappeared into a cloud as the children ran crying to their mothers. Same spell. They said the same thing, just in a very different way. Meanwhile, Alice had come upon a small boy in a field calling for his lost puppy. Alice knew what to do. She waved her wand and chanted, "Alakazam, Alakazir, puppy dog, reappear!" And his puppy came back to him. A sheepdog pup bounded out of the woods and into the grateful boy's arms. Alice smiled and was on her way. So I want you to just stop right here for a minute, and I want you to think. A couple of things. What are they both doing? Where have they both been? And then how are they different? Alice is very nice, but Greta is not so nice. They're using their spells in very different ways. Let's see what else we can see. At that moment, Greta was busy being a bad sport. She had passed a school soccer team playing for the league championship. As one girl was about to kick a goal, Greta waved her wand and chanted, "Alakazam, Alakazir, soccer balls disappear!" Not only the girl's ball, but every ball in the field disappeared. The puzzled players searched until dark, but they couldn't find a single ball to finish the game. Everyone went home, perplexed and disappointed. Greta snickered and flew home to her cave, delighted with her dirty work. Again, very different. Same spell, but used very differently. The next day, Greta was sipping her morning cup of pond slime. She was bored. It was time to stir up trouble, but where? She tossed a few things into the cauldron. When the smoke cleared, she peered into the brew and muttered, "Time to brew, time to bubble, time to stir up nasty trouble." In the boiling potion, she saw a school playground and children happily playing. Greta jumped on her broom and flew off in search of the school. Within minutes, she arrived at the same scene that had appeared in her cauldron. Rubbing her hands with delight, Greta said, "The children are so sweet, but I can make them even sweeter." She waved her wand at the fluffy clouds overhead and cackled, "Icky, icky, gloopy, gloop. Clouds spilled down my sticky soup." Oh, so now she's got all this icky, gicky, slimy, sticky soup that's about to fall on them. With a crash and a flash in the fluffy clouds overhead rained down millions of melting marshmallows onto the children. At first, the children were delighted, but as soon as they realized they were stuck in the gooey, sticky marshmallow mess, they called for help. Help! Greta just laughed and laughed. Alice heard their cries and appeared from behind a cloud, but before she could lift a wand to help, Greta spotted her. "Oh, no, you don't," she yelled and pointed her wand at Alice. "Icky, sticky, gloopy goo, another sweetie for the stew." A million more marshmallows fell on Alice. Before she knew it, she and her broomstick were pulled to the ground and stuck fast in an icky, sticky mess. She was helpless, unable to lift her magic wand. Alice struggled, desperate to think of what to do. Then she remembered something she had learned in school. She looked hard at Greta and said these words: "Whatever you chant, whatever you brew, sooner or later comes back to you." Nothing happened, so Alice added a little spell of her own. "Make it sooner, not too late. Help me now, I just can't wait." What do you think might happen? With that, the marshmallows lifted off of Alice and the children and landed flop on top of Greta. The children crowded around Alice and cheered. Yay! To this day, Alice lives in her cave on the hill, where the view just keeps getting better and better. She has lots of thank you notes from the kids and little party she has going on up here. They're bringing her cookies, and she's just playing with the kids. And for now, Greta is stuck learning something she should have learned long ago. The boomerang principle. So guys, I want you to take just a minute, pause the video, and I want you to think of some things that were the same for Alice and Greta, and then think about some things that were different with Alice and Greta with their experiences. And then we're going to come back together after you pause the video, and we're going to talk about some things that I think were the same and different. So I want you to take just a second and pause the video, and we'll come back. All right, guys, so you should have paused the video, and now we're going to be back to talk about some things that are the same and things that are different. So when we're comparing, we're talking about the things that are the same, and we're talking about Alice and Greta, the witches. So I want us to write a couple of things that were the same, so we know they are both witches. Okay? We know they're both witches. We know they both went to the same school. And you guys may have came up with some other things that you could write right there, right? So I want you to think, okay, so those were the both. Now I want you to think about Greta and Alice and use the word but now. We're going to talk about how they are different, okay? So Alice, she was very kind. She was always very rosy. Even her clothes were very rosy. She was a good student when she was in school. She tried to make things better for people. Okay. So let's see if we can come up with the same kinds of things, but for Greta. So we're going to say Alice was kind, but Greta was mean. Okay, so now let's come back over here. Alice liked to be rosy and wear rosy things, but Greta liked green. Alice was a good student, but Greta was a troublemaker. Okay. Alice made things better for others with her spells. We'll put them with her spells. But Greta made people sad with her. So there's just a few things that I was able to come up with where we could compare. Now remember, when we compare, we say same, both. And when we contrast, we use the words different and but. So same, different, compare, contrast, both, but. And I want you guys to remember that as you're going through this week, the rest of the week too. So, and then we have a few things that we came up with for Alice, a few things that we came up with for Greta, where we contrasted, and then we have a couple of things that we came up with to compare. And it's completely fine if the things that you came up with were different from mine. You may have had even more than I did, and that's great too. So, I want you guys to remember these words whenever you're going through the rest of the week. And I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.